convincingly proven to lower cholesterol and stabilize blood sugar that the FDA allows a health claim on food products containing it. Beta-glucan forms a gel in the gut that slows glucose absorption, reduces LDL cholesterol, feeds beneficial bacteria, and enhances immune function. Barley also has a lower index than wheat or rice, meaning it provides sustained energy without crash. Studies show it outperforms oats, already considered a heart-healthy food, in its effects on post-meal blood sugar. For a grain that costs almost nothing and grows in nearly any climate, it's an extraordinary food. The traditional was whole barley cooked as a porridge, or ground to flat bread. Whole barley, with the outer hull removed, is more available today, but whole barley retains more of its fiber and nutrition. Even pearl, it remains one of the best carbohydrate sources you can eat. 8. Ancient wheat, einkorn and emmer, not the wheat you think now. Here's an important distinction that changes everything. When the Bible talks about wheat, it is not talking about modern wheat. It's talking about ancient varieties, primarily corn and emmer, that are genetically, structurally, and nutritionally wheat that fills modern bread and pasta. Modern wheat was developed in the mid-20th century with a massive yield per acre. It succeeded spectacularly at that goal, but in the process, it created a grain with a dramatically different gluten structure, higher starch content, and fewer micronutrients than its ancestor. Einkorn, by contrast, has 14 chromosomes compared to modern wheat's 42. It has a different type of gluten that many people who react to it tolerate without issue. It has higher protein, more beta-carotene, gluten, riboflavin, and antioxidants per serving. Starch is more its antioxidant content is significantly high, and because it hasn't been bred for maximum gluten development, its dough behaves differently. It makes denser, more nutritious bread that was standard throughout the ancient world. The traditional preparation.
Blazing Golia, Florida's fiscal watchdog.
I am appointing the most conservative senator in the state of Florida, Blaze Golia.
Blazing Golia, locking those who steal your tax dollars, imposing record fines on insurance companies, and taking on corrupt politicians in both parties who waste your tax dollars.
I'm Blazing Golia. I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. I only care about stopping corrupt politicians waste your money. You just got hired as a Domino's beta tester. Just order some pizza and you can pay $5 for next order. Do you know eating spinach can do to your liver? Bananas are still free. What they don't know is that the resistance of wheat bananas have a significant effect on liver metabolism. Are they actually healthy? What do you need to know?
I'm a doctor, and I quit. Years ago, I made a New Year's resolution for myself that I would no longer participate in what our country calls healthcare. It's actually sick care. It doesn't restore health. It just profits off of people staying sick. Like, why don't doctors tell patients that eating something that's great for their day supports blood pressure in a natural way? Why don't doctors tell patients to focus on herbs or certain foods? I believe that real health is possible, and I believe that you.
Preparation was slow fermented sourdough, which further breaks down gluten proteins and phytic acid, making the grain easier to digest and its minerals more absorbable. Ancient bread was not over-refined by oil. It was dense and full of whole grain. You can find einkorn flour today. It's not cheap, but for anyone who struggled with modern wheat, it made the wheat your digestive system was actually before. The grain of the Bible wasn't what's making people sick. What's making people sick is what we turned into. 9. Grapes, from vine to vitality. The vine is one of the most spiritually loaded plants in all of Scripture. I am the vine, you are the branches. Grapes appear at Noah's first act after the flood, the Passover table, throughout the Song of Solomon, and in virtually every agricultural metaphor of Jesus. This plant was central to life in the ancient world, and it turns out for very good reason. Fresh grapes, raisins, and grape juice all contain resveratrol, quercetin, and anthocyanin, polyphenols that have been heavily studied for their effects on cardiovascular health, inflammation, and even longevity. Resveratrol in particular activates surgery, proteins associated with cellular repair and extended lifespan, and has been one of the most exciting compounds in aging research for the past 2 decades. The skin and seeds of grapes contain the highest highest concentration of these compounds. Fresh whole grapes, eaten with skin, provide fiber, potassium, vitamin C, and vitamin K alongside these polyphenols. Raisins concentrate the sugars and minerals, but lose some of the volatile compounds. Each form has its place. Traditional use in the ancient Middle East meant fresh grapes in season, raisins year-round for sustained energy and portable nutrition, and grape leaves used as food wrappers and medicinally for inflammatory conditions, something still practiced in Mediterranean cooking today. 10. Wine, in moderation, the ancient medicine. Let's be careful here, because this one requires nuance. The Bible does not universally praise wine. It also warns against excess, but it does treat wine, used wisely and in moderation, as medicine. Use a little wine for your stomach's sake, Paul tells Timothy in 1 Timothy 5:23. The Good Samaritan pours wine into wounds as an antiseptic. This was not metaphor. Diluted wine, which is largely how the ancient world consumed it, has genuine antimicrobial properties. Studies have shown that wine at moderate concentrations kills common gut pathogens, including E. coli and Salmonella, more effectively than the same amount of pure alcohol. In a world without water treatment, a small amount of wine mixed with water was genuinely protective, and the polyphenols in red wine, particularly resveratrol and proanthocyanidins from grape skins, are the subject of decades of cardiovascular research. The so-called French paradox, low rates of heart disease despite a rich diet, has been partly attributed to red wine consumption. Controlled studies show moderate red wine intake associated with improved HDL cholesterol and reduced platelet aggregation. The key phrase is moderation. One small glass of quality red wine with a meal in the context of a whole food diet, the way people actually drank in the biblical world, diluted with food as part of community, is a very different thing from what modern alcohol culture looks like. This is one of those foods where the context of consumption matters as much as the food itself. Use the way Scripture describes it, sparingly, purposefully, as medicine. It has a place on this list. Used carelessly, it doesn't. Real quick, I want to pause here because a lot of people ask me, this is all great, but where do I actually get this stuff? The real versions, not the watered down supermarket versions. That's the right question, and it matters more than most people realize. Because here's the problem. A lot of what's sold today as these foods isn't actually what the Bible was talking about. Most commercial olive oils are cut with cheap seed oils and never cold pressed. Most honey is heated, filtered, and stripped of its enzymes. It's basically sweet syrup. And if you want to grow your own biblical foods from seed, good luck finding heirloom varieties at a big box garden center. So I did the research. I found the sources I actually trust, and I linked them all in the description below. Now let's get back to the list, because we're just getting to the ones that are going to genuinely surprise you. 11. Fish, the omega-3 covenant. Fish is everywhere in the Gospels. The disciples were fishermen. The miraculous feedings involved fish. Jesus ate fish after the resurrection to demonstrate his physical presence. This wasn't coincidence. In the culture of 1st century coastal Israel, fish was the primary protein source for most people, and it turns out it may have been one of the most important dietary choices ever made. Fatty fish, sardines, anchovies, tilapia from the Sea of Galilee are among the richest sources of omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA on the planet. These are essential fats that the body cannot manufacture. They must come from food. DHA makes up a significant portion of brain cell membranes. EPA has powerful anti-inflammatory effects throughout the body. The research on omega-3s is some of the strongest in all of nutritional science. Regular fish consumption is associated with dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular disease, depression, cognitive decline, inflammatory conditions, and all-cause mortality. Populations that eat fish regularly, Mediterranean coastal communities, Japanese fishing villages, consistently outperform their inland counterparts in health outcomes. And the fish of the biblical world were eaten whole, simply grilled over charcoal as Jesus prepared them in John 21. No batter, no processing, no seed oil frying that obliterates the omega-3 content. The nutrition was preserved because the preparation was simple. 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week is what modern health guidelines recommend. The people in the Gospels ate it because it was what they had. They happened to have one of the most powerfully health-promoting foods on earth. Sometimes the simplest diets were the wisest ones. 12. Goat's milk, the probiotic of the promised land. The land flowing with milk and honey was not flowing with pasteurized, homogenized, vitamin D fortified cow's milk. It was flowing with milk goats, a fundamentally different food that the human gut handles very differently. Goat's milk has smaller fat globules and a different protein structure than cow's milk. Its primary protein is A2 casein rather than the A1 casein in most commercial cow's milk, which many researchers believe is better tolerated by human digestion. The fat particles in goat's milk are naturally homogenized. They don't separate and don't require industrial processing. And fresh, traditionally produced goat's milk is rich in beneficial bacteria, natural probiotics that support gut health. Studies show goat's milk is easier to digest for people who struggle with cow's milk, produces less inflammatory response in the gut lining, and has a prebiotic effect supporting beneficial gut microflora. Its mineral content, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, is highly bioavailable. It also contains medium-chain fatty acids, particularly caprylic acid, that have antimicrobial and antifungal properties. In traditional Middle Eastern diets, goat's milk was consumed fresh, fermented into yogurt and kefir, or aged into simple cheeses. Each form provides different benefits. Fresh milk for quick nutrition, fermented products for probiotic richness, cheese for concentrated minerals. Goat's milk got sidelined by industrial dairy because goats produce less milk than cows and don't scale as easily. But for anyone dealing with dairy sensitivity, sluggish digestion, or gut dysbiosis, this ancient food, the milk of the promised land, may be exactly what their body has been missing. 13. Hyssop, the purification herb with real power. Here we are at number 13, the one I teased at the beginning. Hyssop. It's used in the purification rituals of Leviticus in Psalm 51. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. And it appears at the crucifixion, where a sponge is offered to Jesus on a hyssop branch. For centuries, this was treated as purely symbolic. And then researchers started analyzing hyssop and found that the symbolism was built on something real. Hyssopus officinalis contains carvacrol and thymol, the same antimicrobial compounds found in oregano and thyme, two of the most powerful natural antiseptics known. Studies have confirmed hyssop has genuine antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal properties. It's been shown to inhibit the herpes simplex virus. Its expectorant compounds help clear mucus from the lungs, and it has anti-inflammatory effects that explain its traditional use for respiratory infections and wounds. When you understood this, the purification rituals suddenly made functional sense. If you were using hyssop to cleanse, to wipe down surfaces, to sprinkle on persons and objects after disease, you were actually applying a genuine antimicrobial agent. God's instructions were practical. They worked. Traditional use includes hyssop tea for respiratory infection, coughs, and bronchitis, hyssop tincture as a topical antiseptic, and the fresh plant used in cooking as an aromatic herb similar to thyme. The taste is strong and slightly bitter, a characteristic of many medicinal herbs that indicates active compound. Hyssop got forgotten in mainstream herbal medicine, dismissed as a decorative Bible herb. But the science is clear. This little plant was doing real work in the ancient world, and it still can. 14. Cumin, mentioned by Jesus himself. This is the only spice on this list specifically named by Jesus. In Matthew 23:23, he criticizes the Pharisees for carefully tithing even their herbs, mint, dill, and cumin, while neglecting justice and mercy. The fact that cumin was being tithed tells you how valued it was. You tithe things of real worth. Cumin has been used medicinally for at least 4,000 years across the Middle East, India, and North Africa for digestion, blood sugar, and infection. And modern research has confirmed every one of those traditional uses. Cumin contains a compound called cuminaldehyde that has demonstrated antimicrobial effects against a wide range of bacteria and fungi. Studies show cumin can lower fasting blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity in people with type 2 diabetes. It stimulates bile production and digestive enzyme activity, reducing bloating and improving nutrient absorption. And it's a significant source of iron. 3 grams of cumin provides about 20% of daily iron needs. Perhaps most interestingly, cumin has shown preliminary evidence in animal studies of anti-cancer properties and memory protective effects. The ancient world used it heavily and intuitively. Modern science is methodically confirming why. The traditional use is straightforward. Ground cumin in cooking, toasted cumin seeds in bread and stews, cumin tea for digestive upset. This was a daily food and medicine, simultaneously in biblical households. The fact that Jesus referenced it in teaching wasn't random. In the ancient world, even a small herb garden held genuine medicine. 15. Coriander, the detox herb hidden in bread. When God provided manna in the wilderness, Scripture describes it. It was like coriander seed, white. Whether that's a precise botanical identification or a comparative description, coriander seed appears in the most miraculous food story in the entire Bible. That's not nothing. Coriander seed, the dried fruit of the cilantro plant, has a rich medicinal history across Egyptian, Persian, and Israelite cultures. It was found in Tutankhamun's tomb. It was used in ancient medicine for digestive complaints, anxious nerves, and inflammatory pain. Modern research has found that coriander seed has genuine anxiolytic effects. Animal studies show it reduces anxiety comparably to pharmaceutical diazepam in certain models. It has anti-inflammatory compounds, including linalool and flavonoids. It shows antimicrobial activity, and one of its most fascinating modern applications is in heavy metal detoxification. Preliminary research suggests cilantro and coriander can help mobilize mercury and other heavy metals from tissues. Its digestive benefits are well supported